In the grand scheme of things, we're all taught a pretty simple rule. Animals eat plants. But what if I told you that in some of the strangest corners of the world, the plants bite back? So let's just jump right in with the undisputed rock star of the carnivorous plant world, the Venus flytrap. I mean, look at it. This is a plant that actively hunts, traps, and eats meat. It's an idea that just completely upends everything we thought we knew about the natural order. And that right there, that's the big question we're going to tackle today. Why? Why on earth would a plant, a thing that gets its energy from the sun, evolve the need to hunt? Well, the answer is this amazing story of survival against all odds. To figure that out, we've got to understand the problem these plants were facing in the first place. For the longest time, this whole idea was just bonkers. It sounded like something straight out of a horror movie. People were telling these wild stories about giant man-eating trees with tentacles, and honestly, that was almost more believable to them than the actual science. Even the great Charles Darwin had a tough time convincing people.
But here's the real deal, the secret behind it all. It really comes down to one thing: bad real estate. See, these plants grow in places where most other plants would just die. We're talking about bogs and swamps where the soil is terrible, super low in key nutrients, especially nitrogen. So if you can't get your fertilizer from the ground, well, you've got to find it somewhere else.
And that's what really makes a plant carnivorous. It's not just about trapping something, it's this whole 5-step process. First, you got to attract the prey. Then you have to kill it. After that, you digest it, then absorb all those good nutrients. And finally, and this is the key part, you have to actually use those nutrients to grow. It's the whole shebang, from start to finish. Okay, so the problem, terrible soil. The solution, pure evolutionary genius. Let's get into the incredible art of the trap. So these traps basically come in two main flavors. You've got your passive traps, which are super clever, low-energy designs. They just kind of sit there and wait for dinner to literally fall in. Think of them as patient hunters. Then you've got the active traps. These are the high-energy ones that use crazy fast movements to snatch their prey. It's all about a trade-off, How much energy do you spend versus what you get out of it? Let's kick things off with the classic passive trap, the pitfall. Take a look at the American pitcher plant. It's so sneaky. It uses bright colors and a sweet, sugary nectar to draw insects in. But the rim is super slippery, and there are these little hairs pointing downwards, so once you're in, there's no climbing back out. The poor bug just tumbles down into a pool of digestive fluid. So simple, but absolutely deadly. Next up, we have the flypaper trap. You can see it here on this sundew. It looks so beautiful, right? All those glistening droplets. But that's not morning dew. That's a super sticky glue. The second an insect touches it, it's game over. And what's really cool is that while some of these are totally passive, others, like this one, can actually curl their leaves around the victim. Kind of blurs the line between waiting and actively hunting. And that, of course, brings us back to the most famous active trap, the Venus flytrap. This thing is a real high-energy hunter. Picture this. A fly lands on one of its leaves. It bumps into one of those little trigger hairs, and nothing happens. The plant is smart. It's not going to waste energy on a false alarm. But then, the fly moves and hits another hair within about 20 seconds, and bam! The trap slams shut in a fraction of a second. It's like a 2-factor authentication system, but for catching lunch. All right, let's check out a few more of these incredible killers. The diversity is just mind-blowing. Okay, this one looks like something from another planet. It's the cobra lily, and it is a master of trickery. See those see-through spots on its hood? To a trapped bug, those look like escape windows to the sky. So it just flies up, again and again, bumping into these false exits, until it's completely exhausted and just falls down into the digestive liquid. So clever. Now, digesting all that food takes a ton of energy. So what if? What if you could just outsource the job? Well, meet the marsh pitcher plant. This guy is a genius. It doesn't even bother making its own digestive juices. Instead, it has a whole team of friendly bacteria living inside its pitcher. The bacteria do all the gross work of breaking down the prey, and the plant just kicks back and soaks up the nutrients. It's literally a tiny ecosystem living inside a single leaf. And the range of these plants is just wild. On one side, you've got these huge tropical pitcher plants that can get big enough to eat things like frogs or small lizards. But then on the other side, you've got something like the Australian pitcher plant, which is a total specialist. It actually grows two different kinds of leaves, one set for trapping bugs and another totally normal-looking set just for soaking up the sun. And get this, that Australian plant is so unique, it's the last of its kind, the only species in its entire family, a genuine living fossil, basically. But this incredible story of evolution and survival has kind of a tough modern twist. These amazing plants are now facing a new threat, and it might be the one they can't adapt their way out of. You know, it was really Charles Darwin who put these plants on the map. He was obsessed with them. He spent 16 years doing experiments, proving to a very skeptical scientific community that, yes, these plants really do eat animals. And in 1875, when he published his big book about them, he called them the most wonderful plants in the world. And today, we know of over 645 different species. Think about that. Each one is a little masterpiece of evolution, a whole world of life that figured out how to live on the absolute edge.
The problem is that world is disappearing fast. These plants are specialists, which means they're perfectly tuned to their very specific, very fragile homes. But those homes are being destroyed for farming and buildings. People are literally stealing them from the wild to sell them, and climate change is messing with the very soil and water they need to survive. The world they evolved for is vanishing from under them.
And this isn't some far-off problem. It's real, and it's happening now. Remember the Venus flytrap and that unique Australian pitcher plant we just talked about? Both of them are now officially listed as vulnerable. That means there's a very real chance they could go extinct in the wild. Their incredible story could just end. So that leaves us with a pretty heavy question, doesn't it? These plants evolved over millions of years to survive in places where nothing else could. They are the ultimate survivors. But the question now is, can they survive us? And really, their story isn't just about them anymore. It's about us. It's a mirror showing us the impact we're having on the most amazing and delicate life on our planet.